I'm here with host with the most, Lukas Thimm.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule
Hey,
to meet up with me.
happy to be here. Happy to talk, always. It's what I do.
This will be a very long interview, people. So,
Yeah, get ready.
So get your popcorn. So let's talk a little bit about what first made you decide that you wanted to go into the entertainment industry.
Right.
I know you had internships at a number of shows.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a hosting
Yeah,
capacity.
no. I have always had a love for movies and TV. I think it can go back to when I was little watching like Harry Potter and wanting to be a wizard. That was my birthday wish for like 10 years in a row. To when I started watching 30 Rock for the first time and kind of getting, Tina Fey's take on what it's like to work on a show. Mm-hmm. And one of the decisions that came to mind when I was applying to schools was I really wanted to intern while I was a student. So NYU kind of was the perfect fit for me. And then when I got old enough, I started interning at Bravo and at HBO and really getting an understanding of what goes into being a development executive. And I thought, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to be the executive who's in charge and kind of makes the decisions, but I don't really want to work on the show. Eventually, I was lucky enough to get a job out in Los Angeles working for Imagine Entertainment. It's Ron Howard and Brian Grazer's company. And kind of then getting what producing was like and working with writers and creating a show from scratch, but not really being in the room. But then I realized, wait a second, I want to actually write the jokes, and I want to be the one that builds the world from like my head. I want to be a writer. So that's when I started writing on my own. So like every kind of thing I wanted to do is got me closer to the creative. And along the way, whether it's through various things I did in high school, through student government or through the arts. And then when I started studying improv at UCB, it's like, oh, I want to be a performer too. So that's kind of when I got into like the hosting aspect of entertainment.
And you also have your own blog, do you not?
Yeah, I have a newsletter.
Yeah.
So I write a newsletter called The Lucas. It's the weekly list of lists by Lucas. So Lucas plus List, that's that name. And I needed a way to kind of cope with all the news coming out of DC as well as LA. So entertainment and politics, and finding a way to kind of write about it, digest it, and joke about it as well. Because like my ultimate dreams, I would love to be someone like Samantha Bee or John Oliver or Seth Meyers, who I think they're just, and Colbert, just do great people who, can take the news and find some light in it as well as educate people about what's happening.
So in essence, you need to thank Donald Trump because he's given you plenty of material.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like one of those things, you always hear those comedians and they're like, oh, when they talk or people come up to them like, oh, it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. What are you going to do when he leaves office?
I was just going to say, my fingers are crossed right behind yours.
I know, it's crazy. I remember growing up, I grew up in DC, so I was always pretty political, but never really realized it, just how we grew up. But I was so shaken by Trump's election because not only did I find him incompetent, but I really loved Hillary Clinton. I thought, oh, this is someone who worked her ass off, and as a fellow nerd, I was like, finally the nerd's gonna win, and she's gonna show herself. So when that didn't happen, I was like, how can I deal with all of this? I just have to know as much as possible.
Right.
And I think so joking about it makes me laugh, but I think there will be a new take on politics once he leaves office, and perhaps people won't be as, knock on wood, as anxious as they are now. Yeah. But I think comedy is still a good way to educate because policies are still going to get made, the Supreme Court's still going to make decisions, we're still going to have a president again, hopefully. But yeah, I think it's such a blessing. One way it pushed me to like write more and to learn how to write jokes, and the con is that our country is slowly being destroyed from the inside. But it helps my career.
Nothing's funnier than that. Right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, being a young person and using your voice to talk about politics and try to not influence other people the way they vote, but I guess in a way you're trying to, make their wheels turn a little bit and not just, either not vote or. So that's super important.
Absolutely. I think in 2016 I saw that. I was still at NYU, and the conversation mostly with the people I hung out with was the Bernie versus Hillary kind of thing, and I found there was a slight disconnection of what actually happens in government or how policies actually get made and the importance of voting. And many of them were like, well, I'm not going to vote if Bernie doesn't win the nomination, or I don't like Hillary because this is of course legitimate reasons not to like Hillary Clinton, believe me, but there was some sort of disconnect of how pragmatism and compromise are actually good things. And as countries built from that, and we do have to work together, versus just saying some policy idea and believing that will get made somehow. So I thought, okay, I need to help my friends, people my own age, understand there is a disconnection. I actually had the privilege before I left LA to meet Senator Kamala Harris, and I told her that. I said what I realized in 2016 and talking to people afterwards, like there was such a disconnect between policy and how it gets done. And when I would just talk to people, like, oh, this is why I'm voting for Hillary, because I like her criminal justice reform plan, I like her college plan, I like this. And friends would be like, that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say why they're actually voting for someone. I was like, okay, well, that's a problem, so we should talk about that.
Yeah. And those voters who decided they weren't going to vote,
they cost
really kind of cost the election. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've learned what. So in terms of just looking at the black vote, African Americans in this country, 89% voted for Hillary, but it was only 59% turnout. We do know that Russia, they targeted black voters, but I mean, and the Clinton campaign has to take responsibility as well. But of course, and if more people of color voted, if more young people voted, she would have won. And actually, I think millennials are the demographic that if they voted more, it would have been, she would have won everything. But not everything, but won the election. So yeah, absolutely, we have to find a candidate, and this was Hillary Clinton's failings that inspires, but as well as I think in the media, have to educate people. Make sure everyone's as informed as possible.
Yeah, and speaking of the media, you're now a full-fledged member. If I'm not mistaken, Build Brunch was not a daily show, but it's turned into that recently, right?
Yeah. So Build Brunch kind of started out as a spin-off of Build. So Build's been around for a few years now. Predominantly just live interview one-on-one with the host and an actor or author or any sort of celebrity. And I think they had this goal to make more content and make a daily show, which they'd never done before. So they invented Build Brunch, and I like to say we're The View, except we're young and we're funny. I am trying to start a feud with The View. So Joy Behar, if you see this,
I'll tag them.
Yeah,
I'll tag all of them.
Yeah. Though I like to think of myself as a Joy Behar of Build Brunch. But yeah, so we started 10 months ago, in June of 2018, and it's been slowly growing. It's been really fun.
Yeah, and you guys also do have guests as well.
Yeah.
But you talk about everything, politics and
pop culture,
the gamut of everything.
Food. It's kind of the whole thing. Yeah, we're a millennial based show. We do try to keep it light. We're having Kardashian cocktail hour tomorrow. We're going to debrief on everything Kardashian. A couple weeks ago we talked to Pete Buttigieg and has the first millennial candidate. What does it mean to be a millennial running? And so it's really kind of interesting conversations like that, and having people on such as Real Housewives, like Erica Jane, to actors. It's been really fun. Erica Jane was fabulous.
She's the queen.
Yeah.
As two gay men, obviously. But Lisa's the queen too, so it's gotta fight for the title there.
Yeah.
So, did you guys do like a chemistry test? Did you all get brought in together?
Good question. So we always discuss that, how it really worked out with the four of us, because it could have been bad. So two of my co-hosts, Brittany Jones-Cooper and Shannon Coffey, were chosen by Suzanne, who's our showrunner of Build. She runs all of Build. She's brilliant. Myself and Allie were chosen by my friend Max, who's the EP of Build Brunch, and he was the one who invented the show. So when he texted me, I was in LA, I was still an assistant, and he's like, would you want to come work on the show? I'm doing Build Brunch. And I was like, send me the info. And I wrote back, mostly joking, being like, could I host it? And he was like, yeah, why not? And I was like, okay. So I sent in a video, I sent in jokes, I sent in material to prove I could do this. And they basically told Max, like, if you believe in Lukas, we believe in you, let's do it. And I knew Allie before I went from NYU, not very well, but I knew her. And Shannon and Brittany, I had no idea who they were, except both of them have had good careers. But so we all met, we had one dinner, and we've developed this friendship, and luckily it worked out, because there wasn't a lot of, besides 2 weeks of rehearsals, we did which were very helpful. We've come a long way, and we've really become a cohesive unit.
Now Brittany also does other interviews.
Yes.
Was she already at Build?
She was already at Build. She was previously at Yahoo Finance, was at Build for a few months before that, doing the main Build show, one-on-one interviews. She's great. Yeah.
So now you're kind of the Whoopi Goldberg in terms of moderating.
Yeah.
Do you feel an extra responsibility? You don't seem to need to rein anybody in, because you're all kind of, I think you guys know when to move on.
Yeah.
Or sometimes sometimes you guys get like not tunnel vision in a bad way, but you get like really
on a bit.
How does it work for you when you're working in a time constraint?
Right.
And they're like spinning like rap.
And they're saying rap in your ear. Well, I think so. It's on my mind. It definitely a skill I've developed. Because Shannon and Allie are very successful comedians, and they're comedians first, or actresses first. They're brilliant. Mm-hmm. So when sometimes they go off, including I have had many moments too, you definitely have to let the bit go. Like the bits, so they're so funny, like you gotta let it laugh. But sometimes it becomes Brittany to like, okay, let's circle it back. Let's make sure, especially when the producer's like, make sure you have to bring up this trailer so we can show it, or make sure. So it is kind of always in my mind. My co-hosts make fun of me because I beautiful mind my cards, like they're covered in like scribbles because I have to write things down to remember them. I don't really write jokes down anymore. I find it's better when it's improvised and just more personal. But I will write down, like underline, like make sure to bring this up, and to try to bring the conversation back.
Now, as someone who's obviously one of the younger generation, you're obviously very smart and you know a lot about what's going on in the world. Which, well, at least it seems like you do.
Yeah, fake it.
You might be a good actor.
Yeah.
Who knows? But how important is that? And not only that you're representing the younger generation, but also on a platform where younger people are going to watch because it's online. It's not like. And do you feel that played a role in you maybe being as successful as you are at such a younger age, that you had that platform to go to build?
Yeah,
it's probably very hard to get hosting gigs.
Yeah, no, it is. I recognize my privilege and the certain benefits I've had in my life that many people are not afforded, and I was able, I come from a good family with a lot of issues, but different. I went to a good school, I met good people, I met Max, who's now my boss at NYU, and got an education and felt inspired and believed myself to become as informed as I am. I think being this way, has always helped me in every job I had. I had an internship at HBO, and the former head of drama told me and the two other interns in his department said, it's great to know everything about entertainment, it's great to know everything about TV, but know other stuff too. Know about the world. It's this LA's this bubble, the industry's this bubble. It will go a long way when we know more. And when I went to Imagine, that really helped me connect with my bosses there, because I did know what was going on in the world in terms of pop culture, but politics and international issues or whatever. So that always helped me prove myself, like, okay, I have something to say.
Right.
And now on Build Brunch, I do, even when it's dopey topics, but I always try to give people watching an understanding of like how a TV show gets made, or Elizabeth Warren's college plan. Like, briefly, we didn't go into the minutia of it, but like, let's say I'm gonna say, okay, this is how she's gonna pay for it, and this is what it will do for us. Because I think, we are this powerful demographic that's, I think, kind of untapped, and once we unify and figure out how to get going, we could really make a difference, because it's so cheesy, but the children are the future, and this country's our future, and we have to make sure we know what's going on so we don't let, some older people, I love older people, I'm just saying, they're deciding a lot of things that when they're not going to be around for that much longer, we're going to have to live with the consequences.
Now, has there ever been a topic that you really could have cared less about, and you had to fake your way through it?
Oh my God, so many.
You don't have to, you don't have to be specific.
Yeah,
it's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah, let me think. Well, definitely not going to mention some guests that we've had on. I've gotten really good at faking nice, which is scary, right? Like, I'm good at talking to someone like, oh my God, I loved your TV show. It's this, that, and meanwhile, I watched like 2 seconds of it before I went on. I don't know if I should admit that.
Hey, you didn't admit which ones it was.
Yeah, so exactly. I think sometimes with Kardashians, I go back and forth on. I'm not a huge Kardashian fan. I respect them, respect Kris Jenner. I think sometimes I have to kind of force myself to like it and to really be passionate about it. Like, I it's hard for me to fake passion, because I'm such a passionate person, so I really have to try to find an angle to get me to like it, or something that was funny about it. But I feel like that and The Bachelor, I'm not, so, and we've been taught, and it's more talk to The Bachelor, it's one of the most popular shows on TV, so that's been one when I think, okay, I don't watch the show, but I have to understand why people like it, let me immerse myself in some sort of way, and I've watched a few episodes this past season, but that's time when I kind of have to force myself a little bit.
On the flip side of that, you did bring up celebrity guests.
Yeah.
have there been celebrity guests that were better than you thought they were going to be, or someone you really liked prior to the interview, and then you were like, oh, you're just a terrible person. I don't want you. Like, not that I don't want you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a fan of yours, or like you're just not what you're putting out.
There hasn't been the latter, but I will say any Bravo person that's come on has been so professional and so game, and I'm actually not surprised. But that, especially the Real Housewives, we've had. Well, Heather Dubrow's an ex-housewife, but we've had Cynthia Bailey from Atlanta and Erica Jane from Beverly Hills. They were so professional, so nice, and so happy to be there, especially when we played games with them that like promote their products, which makes sense. Yeah. They lit up. They just got so excited, and it was especially Erica. Like she really, because she's a very professional woman, and I respect that about her. But when we did the fashion show to show her shoe line, she lit up. She was so excited and so thankful, and it was really cool to see someone. She's on a regular reality TV show. She's millions of followers on Instagram. Like, we've got kind of big, our show, but we're still growing. But like, she really was thankful and appreciative, and personally thanked us, and sent all the girls shoes. Like, it was really, I was really pleasantly surprised by how giving and nice she was.
Now that's not fair to you. Would she send you Mikey for a night?
Yeah.
For a date, not a night.
He was there, I think. Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
No, I didn't need anything from Erica. Just the fact she held my hand and we got to joke and talk about her shoes was good enough for me.
I'm teasing.
Yeah.
That came out way not what I meant. So now, do you get to give input on who you'd like to see in, or what you would like to talk about?
Yeah, we really developed a great system in terms of the topics, where after every show, all the hosts meet with the 3 producers that work on Bill Brunch, and we go through all the stories they have picked from the headlines, and we will go through and highlight the ones we like and discuss. Okay, we have to have at least 1 or 2 industry-related stories, and then we like having conversations. Like today, we talked about how porn is misleading, of course, or we've talked about. Last week, does true love really exist? Like those that will have conversational pieces, because we found that those allow for more organic and fun conversations.
Because you don't always want it to be heavy.
Exactly, we don't always want it to be heavy. And sometimes, I think with my producers, never, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about this new documentary about the Church of Satan, and my co-host Shannon is a Satanist, so her bit, she loves Satan. So I told her right before the show, I want to do an exorcism on you, and I'm just going to get up and start splashing water on you. She's like, okay, I'm going to go 100. I'm like, let's do it. We didn't tell anyone, so we just started doing it. And the producer's like, what are they doing? And I'm muttering, the power of Christ compelling you. And she's like, it was so funny. And just so we do have a lot of freedom to write bits, and to, they respect us enough in our creative opinion and stuff.
It seems that the 4 of you really get along, and you really like each other, unlike the ladies that you mentioned prior, especially after reading that book. That
book, the Elizabeth Hasselbeck recording. Oh my god,
that book was extremely good.
Yeah, it was.
But you can't. I guess you can fake it, but you could always tell there was tension underneath the surface there. With you guys, you don't see that.
It would be really hard to fake it for us, just because we've definitely gotten into little bits of tiffs here and then, but it's just because we work so closely together.
On air or off air?
Off. Occasionally on, one of us will say something that will rub someone the wrong way, but because we're so close now, we'll after the show be let me just clarify what happened and why I felt this way, why I felt that way, and then it's gone and it's done.
Now you've had guest co-hosts. This last couple of weeks.
Yes, we did.
Is Allie working on a project?
She was in Los Angeles filming a show, which you guys will all hear about shortly. And very, very excited for her. Allie is extremely talented. But what was a cool opportunity is we've had some cool guest hosts come in. Someone like Darren Karp works for Andy Cohen, who I've known very well. Adam Rippon was really fun.
He was great. He was a fun guy.
He was so sweet, so smart, so funny. He's everything you want him to be, and he was a great guest co-host for us. He really fit in very well and laughed at our weird jokes, and he was funny. He was really, really good. That was someone I was really excited about, and I was worried at the beginning because I don't know, how's he gonna act? And once we got alone time with him, once he was just chilling with us backstage, he was so much fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Does it throw off the energy when you have a co-host, or does it, depending on the personality, I guess?
I think it very much depends on the personality. We've had some people the past 2 weeks that have come on, and we've talked about it. It is intimidating, and especially if you're not used to live TV or whatever, coming onto a show with 3 other people who know each other very well and trying to fit in is very hard. So I give everyone a break. But it definitely is sometimes hard especially when we're afraid they're not going to say anything. We can't have dead silence, so we start talking, and if they're not going to jump in, then it gets everyone a little bit stressed out, like, okay, what's going to happen? To Darren Carp, I mentioned before, she was phenomenal because she does this a lot. She hosts quite a few things, but she was able to just jump right in, like she knew all of us forever. She's known me for a long time, but she's an example of someone who's like was a pro.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then if they're not someone who's comfortable, do you try to get more out of them in terms of making them feel comfortable while you're doing it? Or like tell them to just forget there's a camera there and just be like, look, we're just talking amongst friends.
Right, before the show I always say like, oh, it's really fun, it's so chill. Shannon will always be like speak your mind. It's like, oh, everything's like, it's very fun. And then on the show, sometimes I feel like they're not talking, I'll ask them questions. Like if it's about a topic I know they should speak to, be like, oh, how do you feel about that? Or just to get them kind of involved and loosen up a bit. So we test the waters. If like we know before the show, like during makeup and stuff, if they are really chatty and just nervous, versus if they're like not feeling it and like we don't know what we can do, we're just gonna carry the show and they can come on for the ride.
Do you have any interest in doing the one-to-ones like Brittany does?
Yeah.
Is that something you're going to pursue, or that could be coming up?
Maybe. Yeah. You know, I've discussed that a little bit with my bosses.
Do we need to like bust kneecaps? And
Kevin
or
yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'll go there. Your security is pretty tough there, so I don't know if I want to do it there.
Oh, they're the best.
Give me their address and I'll find them somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I think they have that team there who does it. Matt, Ricky, Kevin. They're great. Brittany. But yeah, I would love to. A skill I think I've really developed over the past few 10 months of Bill Brunch is that I love interviews. I love talking to people. So it's something I would definitely want to pursue. Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about what we're doing.
Right.
I hate calling them interviews. I like call them conversations.
Yes.
Because if it's an interview, it's like, what did you do?
Right.
When did you come here? What was your internship? Like, who cares? Like, don't be a robot. Like, be interesting.
Exactly.
And interested. And it makes the interview a lot easier and goes quicker. And
it's way more my style. And that's why it's always I think Jimmy Fallon's really good at it, making his guests feel comfortable. But it's always like if I wanted to have my own show, it'd be like somehow a mix of John Oliver and Andy Cohen. Like it just like you take the top, maybe some of the serious topics John Oliver discusses, but Andy Cohen, his show Watch Up His Live, it does such a great job. He makes everyone feel so comfortable. They're sitting in chairs, not behind a desk. I like that. Having a drink, and it just like. It's fun and it's light, and I like that. The more conversational, getting people's opinions versus let's just promote your movie or whatever. I think in the end, if you always I try to always banter with the guests a little bit, depending who they are. It promotes the movie better or whatever because people will like them more.
And it balances. It shows they're a human being, not just a drone.
Exactly.
My movie's so great. This is what I do.
Right.
This is what it was like working with the director. It's like
we've had those before. Sometimes with actors, actors are actually hard interviews because they don't like press. And they really just stick to a script and be like, so how is it filming this movie? It was fun. Great, cool.
Yeah. Like, do you care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, exactly. While like reality TV stars, I think are so used to being on camera, and like they know the game, so they're like they will go in and they will know, they will talk. We don't need to like push them that much.
What are your favorite reality shows?
So, I do watch a lot of TV. With terms of reality, I really stick to Bravo. I pretty much watch all the Housewives. I'm a housewife philosopher of sorts. Vanderpump Rules, I watch on and off depending on the mood. Sometimes they frustrate me, but sometimes they're so funny. I'm like, how do I not watch this?
That show, you feel like they're friends and like they hang out together, that kind of thing. Sometimes with the Housewives, it's like we only hang out when we're filming and then we despise each other.
Oh yeah, you can tell. I mean, you can tell with why certain Housewives work better than others because they genuinely like each other and they're actually like hang out outside the show. And also you can tell when certain fights like with Carol and Bethany last season in New York, like that was a real friendship breakup because they hung out outside the show.
Right.
You can definitely tell with certain Housewives which casts are more contrived than others, and the ones who genuinely like each other are always more fun to watch.
Yeah, Agreed.
Yeah.
Which is hard to like narrow down at this point because there's a lot of turmoil on all of them. Like Atlanta's got a lot of crap going on this year.
A lot.
Beverly Hills obviously has a lot of shit going on.
Right.
And so
well, I think what you're seeing with Beverly Hills is, and I will always love Lisa Vanderpump, but I think you're seeing the other women be very tired of her antics and tired. I think she, maybe unintentionally, but I think she sucks up the energy in the room, and the show is craving to move on, and the women are craving to move on because I think of that group, Lisa doesn't really like any of them, except maybe she used to like Kyle.
Yeah.
But while the rest, I think Kyle's, Lisa Rinna are genuine friends. I think, which one? Dorit maybe, but like they have a crew that Vanderpump's like, I don't need to be part of this anymore.
Yeah, and Atlanta, it's just like, okay, Nene needs to go after this year.
I know.
I think she's over it. Like she just.
I think that's what's happening. She's over it.
It's time. It's time to go.
And
Marla,
again,
go with her.
Right.
Marla's a disaster.
Marla's a disaster, but God love her.
She's funny, but like
disaster.
She's
There's a reason why Andy won't give her a peach. I think Nene is literally. I think her and Bethany are my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
I will always love Nene Leakes. I think she invented the game in a lot of ways. But when a housewife stops engaging, when they stop wanting to be a part of the group and work with their coworkers, I think it's time for them to leave. And I'm sure Nene is thinking about that. I think she's looking at her life. She doesn't need the show. So
like Bethany is television gold all the time.
All the time. And Bethany,
they could show that clip of her on the couch with her legs up.
Oh my God!
Mention it all. Yeah, mention it all.
But I think Bethany,
and I could watch that 1,000 times.
It's
like the funniest thing every time.
Yeah, and I think Bethany just realized that she has found her perfect groove with Housewives and with Bravo. So she really hit gold. Not saying she's perfect all the time, but I think this season you're really seeing the Bethany we love. Maybe because Carol's no longer there, she's actually the most sensible one. So I'm really loving her this season.
Who is a dream guest that you would like to book? Or like them to book for you?
Yeah, well, Bethany, I've met a few times, and I actually have emailed her. I would love to get her on brunch, and I would love to promote whatever Skinny Girl product she wants to promote. I think she's just really funny. But like, in terms of like, who would be? I would love Kamala Harris to come on. I think she's really funny, and to see her like in an informal setting while she's running for president, but with like a bunch of young kids, and we could do something fun with her. I think that'd be kind of interesting as well.
As a young person, and you mentioned Kamala, do you tend to shy away from like controversial things like Jussie Smollett and things like that, where an opinion can be so strong that it could alienate people?
We've definitely had that conversation with Jussie Smollett. Was a big one. When that first was released, his attack. I think Brittany just did a read to camera saying like we're thinking of him. We all did a little bit like watching Empire. I used to watch that show. That his character meant a lot to me, so I just did something like that. As it went on, with some of those stories, we're kind of like, you know what? Let's wait now until we have all the information. Right. Last week we talked about it because Taraji and Terrence and the rest they wrote the letter. So like we talked about that and where Empire would go. I think definitely I've gotten better at being quick on my feet, but still thinking a little bit before I talk, especially with issues like that. I'll be very careful, because it's always important to speak our truths, but you just don't want to. You don't want to offend anyone in a way that will make them feel bad about themselves, and so.
I think that's for a host like you. That's got to be a touchy thing, because in your personal life, I'm sure your opinions can fly, and if you have to debate it, it's not like with your friends. Then you debate it with your friends. But when you're the face of something, and you can alienate people. It's like a delicate balance.
I think it also comes with something like that too. When we don't know all the facts, we may never know. It's always hard to make an assertive opinion. Now I think my producers would like me to talk less about Trump when he comes up in a negative way sometimes. But with most of what I say about him, I really try this is what has happened. Like, this is reported fact. I'm commenting on this fact. I'm not going to comment on I'm not gonna make up a story or some BS sort of thing. With the Jussie stories, like, we just don't know everything, and it's so the way the Chicago police, which they are far from perfect, we all know that, but the way like they did that press conference, and then this news comes out, and then Twitter's reacting, and it's just like a cesspool of just like rumors, and you don't know what's accurate. I'm just gonna speak on like what we know is true and what I feel about this, and Yeah, that's one story that's upsetting.
Have you been forced to talk about something you didn't want to?
No, never.
No, that's good.
We're pretty good. Like, we've been able to be like, no, let's not address that. Let's, like something, like Adele's divorce. I mean, that's like always in the pitch stuff because it talks about. But I don't want to talk about someone's divorce.
Right.
To a degree, nothing. It's that's juicy. I don't think it's that juicy. This woman's getting divorced. Not saying that's a controversial issue, but no, we're pretty good at having an open dialogue with people about stories and yeah.
Well, Build Brunch obviously doesn't seem like it's going to have any end in sight. What exactly would you like to do as a stepping stone after this?
Oh, good question.
And you probably could because
Yeah.
Build Brunch, you're there probably what, 2 hours a day?
Yeah, 3 or 4 hours a day. Yeah. I would love to be a correspondent on The Daily Show or Samantha Bee. I would love to do something working with a late night political show where I get to film, like be on air, but also write. That would be kind of a dream. I mean, I just went to SNL for the first time live a few weeks ago.
BTS of all the nights to go.
BTS of all the nights to go. It was insane. They were more.
Imagine.
I felt bad for Emma Stone, who's an A-list Academy Award winner, because all the people there were there to see BTS. But it was an incredibly inspiring experience. They put on that show, and I was like, I would die to be on Weekend Update and do what Colin Jost, Michael J. do, what Tina Fey did. Like, Tina Fey is my ultimate idol in a lot of ways. So yeah, I'd love to work towards doing late night stuff, I think, next.
You mentioned that she is your idol. Did she inspire you to go this way, or did you have another person, maybe a family member or someone else who was a host that inspired you?
Tina's definitely inspired me with writing, but Andy Cohen I've known my whole life. He's my uncle's best friend. My uncle's Bruce Bosley. If you watch Andy or Bravo stuff, you will know who he is or whatever. So I've known Andy my whole life, and I've watched his career go from, development executive to host one night a week, to host 4 times a week, to leaving Bravo and becoming this big, he produces Housewives and his show and the radio show and the books and this, and I was just like, and growing, and by that time I was like 14, 15, so the very developmental stages, like absorbing everything, and I was just so impressed and how he was able to be both, which people forget, he's a businessman as well as his creative and this big personality.
Right.
So he was definitely inspiring to me, and as I continue to talk to him about various things, his attention to the business and detail and is great, and something I want to keep even if I pursue being on-air talent.
Something that you mentioned earlier stuck with me, and then just kind of came back into my head because of what you were talking about. You were talking about your privilege.
Yeah.
And that is actually a privilege as well, because you were put in front of these people that could further your career, but you also had to do some work, I would think. It wasn't just
he did not give me my Bravo internship, and I think a big turning point in our relationship was when I actually entered that Bravo and he was hearing how hard I worked, and I think that really, in his eyes, he was like, oh, okay, so Lukas actually wants this and is smart and is good. Absolutely. I've been, because of my skin color, because of the family I'm in, because of the relationships my uncles had, I've been able to be put in the room with incredible people. I mean, my first interview at Imagine was with Brian Grazer. People would die for that. But I will say though, if I fucked that up, I wouldn't have been hired. I had to have him. I spoke to him about Empire, what I would do to improve the show, and why I liked Arrested Development, and my favorite TV shows, my favorite things going on in the news. Like, I had to show myself in a way, and I think, it's one of those. I recognize that my privilege helped me get in the door, but and the same with Brunch. Being friends with Max got me on Brunch, but it was very clear that I wasn't gonna prove, if I wasn't good,
you're not gonna deliver,
I'm done.
Yeah.
I was the least valuable person on that show when we started, so it's always been like, okay, I'm gonna use the connections I have to get in the room, but then I'm gonna prove myself.
And internships are very important to do. They may not lead anywhere, but the experience you get.
Yeah.
People may have a bad feeling about internships. Oh, we're just going to answer the phone and open mail, and
oh my God,
you're in the room and you're hearing and
everything.
You have to be there and soak up knowledge, not bitch about, oh, this is the stupidest thing. I know how to open a letter. I know how to photocopy. Like, you really have to, if you prove yourself, they're going to bring you back, or you're going to make a connection that's going to give you a recommendation because this person knows that person and you don't realize it at the time.
Oh, totally.
But there are so many people that know each other in this industry.
Yeah.
It's a smaller world than it seems like it would be.
Totally smaller world, and I'm proud to say I think you go to every one of my supervisors, my internships, to my job, and they will all give me good recommendations because I never sweated the small stuff. I always did anything. Coffee runs, at Bravo I would go during Christmas time and go pick up those like chestnuts for my boss, because and you know what he did in return? I was able to watch screenings of shows with him and sit with him, and he's a huge executive, and I never actually realized that until I went to LA. Like the title he had and the position I was in, to watch something with him and comment on with him was amazing, and that's because I did the small stuff and I made his life easier. When I interned at Wendy Williams, that was my first show ever, way back.
That would be a fun place to be right now.
Oh my God, right now, yeah. But I remember one day she was on Broadway for Chicago, and I had to go to the ATM and withdraw cash. And I had to get the new Us magazine, New People magazine. I couldn't find the new Us, and I had a certain amount of time. I had to be at the theater, at a certain time before she got there. And so I look, I'm in Chelsea where the studio is. I can't find anything. So I'm just go to Times Square and figure it out. I go to Times Square, I run down this way, run down that way, and then finally I go to the theater. Right at the theater is a newsstand with the new Us magazine. I give everything, the money, the magazines, to her sister and whatever at the theater. And later that day, she posted Facebook, like, catching up on the news, and it's that Us magazine, whatever, that I got. So, like, little things like that. I mean, she will never know, but I was sweating and stressed out and this, but, like, I'm glad I made the extra. I'm glad I didn't give up, and I got her the Us magazine.
I had a similar experience. I interned at Live with Regis and Kelly back
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And Ben Affleck was a co-host.
Right.
They wanted a bagel and a coffee, and so, like, I went, and they're like, oh, we want to toast it, and blah, blah, blah. So I went, like, 3 different places to get something toasted.
Right.
It started pouring. I came back drenched, looked like I was in a wave pool. That's how.
Right.
And I went back into the dressing room, and they're like, are you okay? Because they saw me. I'm like, yeah. I'm sorry it took so long. I had to go to 3 different places, and he turned around. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, you went to 3 places for a bagel for me?
Oh my God.
And I was like, that was a cool interaction
Right,
we had, because it was like he saw somebody go out of his way for him. And
Totally.
Just like, I'm please, nobody cares.
Right.
Is there someone that you've had on the show that may not be huge right now, but you think has a career that's going to kind of blow up in front of them?
Oh, yeah, I definitely have. Oh my God, I'm going to blank on names, though.
We all know Erica's fine, so it wasn't her.
It wasn't Erica.
She's doing good.
The problem with Bunch is, like,
okay.
doing the show every day, like, now it all blends together.
Into each other, yeah.
I'm blanking on her name. Okay, this is not the most, like, popular answer. She was featured in the Teen Vogue issue that Hillary Clinton guest edited, and she goes to Harvard. She's about 20 years old. She ran for city council and lost, but she started this charity that supplies feminine products towards homeless women and women in need. She was so impressive and intelligent. It was like, oh, I'm meeting someone who's gonna be a future senator one day. Like, that was someone I was like, she is special. In terms of talent and, like, actors, I may have to get back at you and do that one, but we've had some really cool people.
I'll be at brunch tomorrow. I'll come in.
Oh, good.
Well, I'm not going to be at brunch tomorrow, but I will if you need me there. So thank you so much for taking the time to this.
Oh my God.
Such a pleasure. I could talk to you for another hour, and
I know.
Who knows once the camera stops rolling what we will talk about. But,
Yeah.
I really do appreciate your time, and
thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
No, it was fun for me too.
Okay.
Thanks, Lucas.